Well, hello, everyone. My name is Ron Bush. I'm a cybersecurity professor and program chair at Calumet College of St. Joseph. Welcome to today's podcast. Cybersecurity is one of those things that some people have heard of, but not everybody. Most people don't know what it is. We're going to talk today about something that I think will interest a lot of you. It's on gaming and cybersecurity. So since I'm no expert in gaming, but my friend Jack is, I'm going to ask Jack to introduce himself, tell a little bit about him and his interest in gaming, and we'll take it from there.
Thank you, Ron. As Ron said, my name is Jack. I have been gaming basically ever since I was 5 years old. I have been basically doing it for an unhealthy amount of time, I'll put it that way. I do it for work, I do Twitch streams, and I've just kind of been all around the block when it comes to gaming.
Excellent. Well, we talked a few days ago about this upcoming podcast, and in that we talked about several things that gamers need to be aware of. I'm going to start just recouping what we talked about the other day, scamming websites. You mentioned about stealing account and game currency, false tournament, and how to protect yourself from this attack. So I'll leave it to you.
All right, so when it comes to kind of scanning websites, there are a few ways to distinguish whether or not it is a legit or official website. Obviously, if you go to the creators' websites, right, those are official, right? Buying anything on those websites, you'll typically get what you paid for. Where you can tell if a website is not official is obviously if it's from a third party, or if you try and do anything on that website and it requires you to sign in. That typically does give you a red flag of whether or not the website you're looking at is legit. Because if you're not able to find out what tournaments are taking place or what events are coming up without needing to sign in, probably going to steal your information.
When we talk about how to protect yourself, what can you do? Simply go to the proper website, or are there any other protections?
What I would say is to do a little research first, right? Ask around, right? Obviously, with the internet nowadays, you can text someone halfway across the world in a matter of moments, right? So the one thing that I would say is to just do research, ask around, right? Figure out if other people are going to the websites that they say they are, and if they're actually taking part in these tournaments or events that are said to be taking place.
Excellent. We also talked about DDoS attack. I'm going to ask you to explain that. Maybe I should, since I'm the cybersecurity guy. DDoS is distributed denial of service. So basically what you're doing is you're denying a website, you're denying a server, a customer, a client, you're denying a gamer, you're denying someone accessibility to the internet. A distributed denial of service simply means that you've got more than one computer doing it. Botnets, we get into different types of botnets. You can control anywhere from 10 computers. The largest I think I've heard of recently is 250,000 computers with the right software. With that kind of processing behind you, you can do just about anything you want to. You're big enough. You mentioned when we were talking before about Titanfall 2, and I looked it up. Obviously, you're the gamer and I'm not. So Titanfall 2 reportedly has a major hacking vulnerability. IGN.com reported on September 8th of 2021. On September 9th, it was reported by Ars Technica. Titanfall 2 allegedly hacked via a simple exploit, and then later that month on the 16th. Apparently, according to the report, this was all a ploy in an attempt to actually break Titanfall and Titanfall 2. Evidently, the plan was for hackers to gain access to Titanfall's source code via breaking the game and offering ways to repair the game to Respawn Entertainment, all in service to getting a connection with the developer. It goes on and talks more about it. I'll say that before I turn it back to you, most of the time when you have any kind of breach or an attack, it's usually money or control or both. Hackers are no different from most human beings. They love control. And like most human beings, they like money. And usually They may pretend it's a tap for ulterior, or not ulterior, but altruistic purposes. They have all kinds of ideas that they want to float, but it's usually money and power. With that, let me go back to you. At the beginning of it, we were talking about DDoS attacks and Titanfall 2.
So with DDoSing attacks, they're really hard to kind of, stay safe from, because if you're playing online, you're pretty much vulnerable to getting DDoS at any time. One of the games that I know had a prominent problem was Rainbow Six Siege, where people were playing against other players, and then they were mysteriously getting booted offline and couldn't connect back to the game. The company found out that people who were playing at the same time were actually DDoSing the other players to give them an advantage and basically come out with a win guarantee, right? So DDoSing is one of the scary things in gaming that I can't really say you can stay safe from, because it can happen at any time with really no reason behind it.
In business, and again, that's my area of specialty, in large businesses, you can have very expensive firewalls that will protect you in the event of a DDoS. You usually have a backup service, so you may have more than one ISP, internet service provider. You can do things to protect yourself, but honestly, depending on where your hacker is, if he's up high on the food chain, there's nothing we can do there. You're basically down. We talked about virus protection. And in that, you brought up the example of Minecraft mods. I had to look that up. I didn't know what Minecraft mod was. I knew what Minecraft was, but not mods. So would you address that?
All right. So basically, in the realm of Minecraft, right, a mod is anything that makes a change to the gameplay of the game or adds anything on top of that, right? So there are mods that give you a mini-map. There are mods that, add creatures and add different areas to play. So in that kind of realm, there is a lot of different mods, right? One of the things that obviously can come with that is viruses, right? Not knowing how to actually install the mods properly, or if you download, say, from the wrong website, then you have obviously run the risk of getting yourself a virus. So mostly how the way that these websites work is they play an ad, and after that kind of ad, then you can, skip it or do what you need to do, and then you can go and download the mod. However, sometimes the ads aren't videos, and they're just kind of like images that are specifically made to be like, hey, either your computer is infected, or hey, this is where you download this, right? So it's very troubling for younger audiences who are looking to want to modify their game, but don't know how to do it properly, because from personal experience, I have pretty much destroyed my dad's computer at this point because I did it wrong. And now there's probably a bunch of viruses on his computer that don't know how to get rid of.
If you're Jack's dad, please ignore that. He's doing that for the effect of dramatization, and we really didn't. It's too late. So I think that's excellent. When our next subject is people in general, you talk about different things that viruses can do to you. I'm going to tie that in, I guess, segue to people in general with social engineering. That's a kind of a specialty in cybersecurity. I'll say 90 to 95% of every attack, and if it's virus, if it's a DDoS, if it's your website, and we're talking about SQL injection, or we're talking about cross-site scripting, or we're talking about anything at all, it's called an attack, and it's usually delivered by some social engineering technique. Now, that could be 80 or 90 to 95% of them are delivered via email. That can be with cute puppies, celebrity pictures. It can be just about anything. It can be leaving a thumb drive in the parking lot. You pick it up to see what's on it. You put it in your computer. They own your computer. It can be just anything you can think of that usually if you're a good person and doing a good deed, or you're just trying to help, or you're just interested, it's innocent, you'd like cute puppies. You want to look at, you click on that. Well, there'll be cute puppies in the pictures, but they've also installed a rootkit or ransomware or something as soon as you click on that. So with that, social engineering is also called human hacking. It's an excellent book by Christopher Haddagy. It's called Social Engineering. Subtitle is The Art of Human Hacking. It's probably the textbook. He's written 2 volumes in that series. Excellent resource if you're interested in that. If you're a good person that interested in that, I want the hackers to read it. But the bottom line is, it's an excellent tool. So, talk to that just a little bit from a gaming standpoint of view. Human engineering.
So, the way that I've seen it is obviously people are very persuasive. People, come off it one way when really they have ulterior motives, or they're just, they're just really good with their words.
Yeah.
Right. One that I've experienced and have seen is Fortnite. When it originally came out, it was a save the world based game. Right. And one of the things you could do is invite players that you played with to your kind of hub world. The thing about it is people were making special kind of like containment units pretty much that they were able to steal people's guns and stuff away from them after they dropped it. Because trading was obviously a big thing in that game. And then once all the weapons were dropped, they could either get booted off of the world, or they would get trapped in a little thing. And this is mostly with like younger audiences too, right? And I've seen this kind of thing happen a lot, is it seems to be kind of older, like mature gamers, right? Kind of
looking at old mature.
kind of preying on younger, audiences and stuff like that, right? And that could be for the reaction, or it could just be that younger audiences are more naive and trusting, right? But the ones that you have to look out for are the ones that are trying to pry for information, right? Because they don't see you, they don't know you, they can take whatever they want, any information, and they can disappear off the face of the planet with what they know, right? Call of Duty lobbies back then were a gold mine of just hilarious clips, but it was not. It was a bunch of dirt, let's put it that way. There was a bunch of just people going back and forth, and then you had those, the sometimes younger audiences who were playing that game, and there would always seem to be that one guy who was trying to get information out of him, right? Either where he was living, or what the numbers on the credit card were, or just, anything that's small that they can use, right? Age, name, location, right? Anything that you can get on the internet nowadays, right? I feel like they were always trying to pry for that information, right? So obviously the best thing I would say for it, just don't answer.
That's great advice, and it's one. The only thing I'll mention about what you just said is it isn't the younger one. I've had people, having done presentations for years in front of companies, in front of organizations, associations. I had one lady tell me that she had the typical guy called her. He was an IRS agent. You can have FBI. Those are the 2 most popular scams. And the guy threatened to have her husband put in prison. Her husband had been cremated. And she told the guy that. And in conversation, she said, if you don't believe me, you can check with my CPA. So she gave him his name. She gave all kinds of information on herself. She was not a young gamer. People in businesses all the time pick up those thumb drives or flash drives in the parking lot. They're left there for a reason. I took a course in cyber forensics years ago, and one of the students in that class with me was a bank examiner. And he talked about how that's one of the typical things they've done all the way back to when floppy disk were common. They drop it in the parking lot. They wait for an employee to pick it up, bring it in, because it's a terminable offense if they stick anything foreign into a company computer. And many have been terminated because they picked up the floppy or the thumb drive, stuck it in the computer, and big blue screen says you're busted. That's it. There's also just an amazing plethora of information people will give out on the phone, either to the IRS or the scam. It's the Prince of Nigeria, as I recall. And that goes back to the day of chain letters, which I imagine most young folks listening to this or watching it have never heard of. That's when letters used to make the rounds, and you would part of this deal with the letter was, once you received it, you would send it on to 20 other people, and pretty soon you can imagine it's circling the globe. This was a prince from Nigeria. He had $120 million, and he wanted to get it out of his country, and he's asking you, of all people, you don't know him from Adam, he doesn't know you, but he's asking you to help him, and he'll give you $10, $20 million just for the privilege of helping him. That has changed very little over the decades since the internet, and it still goes around in emails. The last figures I heard or read a few years ago was that 10,000 people a year still fall for that scam. And usually they're not younger folks, they're usually older folks. So no matter what age you are, no matter what you're doing, keeping your wits about you. I don't want people to become distrusting of everyone, but sometimes a little well-placed common sense is helpful in any part of life, certainly in this. Swatting, where this is our last big thing for this, so the big idea of swatting.
Okay. So with me personally, with the work that I do, I run obviously the risk of being swatted, right? And it is live, right? So the people who are watching and the people who, orchestrate the SWAT, they can see it in real time, the damage that they've done, right? So swatting is a big thing. And obviously with the correct set of words, the U.S. has to go investigate it. And this can range from, hey, this guy is, building a bomb, or this guy is looking to commit an attack on, the national landmark or something like that, or anything, right? The U.S. has to go to investigate, right? And 9 times out of 10, they are not there to investigate oh, this is just a fake phone call case. 9 times out of 10, they are there to do what they were taught to do, and that is to kick down your door and treat you as a hostile threat, because they don't know what you have, they don't know what you're doing. All they got is just a simple call or a simple tip saying, hey, this guy is doing something bad, you go stop. And when that happens live in front of millions of people, or in front of tens of thousands, right? All these different people, they get to see it, right? And it is a scary experience, because whenever that happens, they run the risk of potentially dying, right? All these people who are watching one person getting swatted, right? They all run the risk of seeing someone who is potentially going to die, right? At the hands of the government. And there's no repercussion for it, right? Any kind of phone, they can't really do anything about the phone call, right? Because for all we know, it could be a burn, right? Sometimes they won't be able to track it. So there'd just be a human life that the government just took, and they can't really do anything about it. It's a very scary experience, but it's one that people kind of sadly have come to accept, and that have, just basically become a custom thing.
Let me ask first, and then I'll give my thoughts on it, unless you give the same thoughts. What can you do to protect yourself?
Against a swatting attack. Obviously, the number one thing I would say against a swatting attack is cooperate. Let them know that you are not a threat and you are going to do what they say. Do not do not do any movement, right? Don't do anything that they don't say, right? Just do what they say, get on the ground, hands on your head, right? Whatever you need to do to either stay alive or let them know that you are not a threat and it was a false call, right? That's what I would say. Obviously, if the threats are real, then they're going to find it, right? So there's no point. But in the instance that it is a fake call, right? Remain calm and do what they say. Don't do anything that you think will get you out of it, because 9 times out of 10, you will end up in the ground. Okay? So, do what they say, and they will search, but they won't find anything, right? So, you'll be let off the hook.
When you think about, when I talk to groups, I'll say it this way. When I talk to groups, it's usually business groups. People are just astounded. Why would anyone do this? Or how could anyone do things like that? They sometimes, if they've taken down hospitals with a DDoS attack, or they've taken down police departments, sometimes people actually die in these situations, swatting especially. You think about that, who would ever do such a thing? Well, you got to remember, of course, you don't have this problem, but other folks, we're not dealing with model citizens, we're dealing with criminals. And most of them are far away. They don't know you. If they ruin your credit, if they ruin your life, if they take your house, they take your money, if they take everything away from you, sometimes they're not even in this country. In fact, quite often they're not even in this country. They could care less. You're not on their itinerary. You're just a means to an end. They don't know you. And the fact that they ruined your life may give them joy, or it may just not even give them pause to think. In this world, where crime doesn't have to happen geographically close, before the internet, you had to be close to somebody to break in their house, to do things. The internet allows you to be a world away and still do that. I think that the way to end this up, Jack, I appreciate our time to talk. Again, you're the expert in gaming. I do chess now and then, and solitaire I've done a little bit. I lose at solitaire. Lose at chess too, come think about it. Maybe that's why I don't play games. But let's talk about opportunities. There's a lot of stuff that's bad in this world, but there's an opportunity now for everyone to be on the winning side. I just heard the other day there's 760,000 jobs in America that are going empty, unoccupied, because there's nobody educated to fill them. This is in cybersecurity. I can't think of a career that'll be here longer than anything else than cybersecurity. Everything is reduced to data, and we've got to protect that data. Cybersecurity is one of the best paying positions you can find. And here at Calumet College of St. Joseph, we're offering a minor in cybersecurity, which goes great if you're majoring in criminal justice, you're majoring in business. Again, businesses are under attack every single day. A recent figure I heard is that every second in America, some business is attacked. Every 3 seconds in America, someone's identity is stolen. These guys aren't just for business, they aren't just for money, but they are for businesses, they are for money. Some of them are what they call hacktivists. They're hackers, but they're activists. They dislike some businesses. Sometimes it's banking. All of this stuff comes to play to develop a problem with supply and demand. The demand is exceptional with cybersecurity, and the supply is minimal. CCSJ is doing its part to offer these classes to get people up to speed. There's all kinds of opportunity in the industry. There's all kinds of opportunity at CCSG. I hope that this has been beneficial for you watching the podcast, and I hope that you'll join us again in the next one. Have a great day.